Here's a statue you'll have to hunt down. Here's a look at the Diamond Select, the Uncanny X-Men Days of Future Past Wolverine Gallery Diorama statue. In a dark and dangerous post-apocalyptic future, the mutant hunting killing machines known as the Sentinels rule America with an iron fist. Almost all mutants, superheroes, and villains have been exterminated. Only a handful remain to fight against their oppressive robotic overseers, and most of those are powerless, locked in mutant concentration camps. Now, Kitty Pryde must travel back in time and warn the present-day X-Men of the coming danger, and hopefully prevent this horrible future from ever taking place. This gallery diorama of Wolverine is based on his appearance in Days of Future Past, published in Marvel Comics' Uncanny X-Men. It is made of high-quality PVC and features detailed sculpting and paint applications. While I don't see any Sentinels arriving yet, that may soon change, so let's get down to the review of the Days of Future Past Wolverine. I suppose one thing I should really do before we start changing timelines is to thank the folks over at Diamond Select. Wait. Okay, I thought a Sentinel was coming. I'd like to thank the folks over at Diamond Select that did in fact provide this sample of the Days of Future Past Wolverine Gallery Diorama statue. We're going to have a look at this review. Grabbing now the tape measure, let's see how tall the statue stands. Wolverine, including the top points of his hair, because he does have rather pointy hair, the statue is about 7 inches in height, or the statue is going to be about 18 centimeters tall. Picking up the statue, one thing I did actually notice about mine at least is that there's a free stone, or brick perhaps. It actually came loose when I was removing it in the tray. This seems to be showing me right away that there are parts that they actually have added to the base and not simply just molded the entire thing as one piece and then painting the specific parts to it. So I'm going to have to take myself a little bit of glue, and I don't want to make sure, of course, I'm not losing this brick. Should go right really in there. But any little bit of movement, I'm sure it's going to fall back out. So I'm just going to put it over there, right over here. Just everybody remind me it's there. Short of one brick that's actually been removed, the detailing done to the base is really quite stellar. You can see as well, not only did they paint rock faces here of a lighter colors, both of brown, a little bit of gray in there also as well. But of course, as bricks would be, they painted those nicely in brown. You can see some nice darker colors that they've put along the bottom of the base. I mean, the base core color of this is that dark gray. But you can really see just by paintwork alone how they managed to jazz everything up. There seems to be also some fallen papers. Now, I do kind of wish that the papers could have had something printed on them because they do seem a little missing of something, devoid of details. I would have liked if they could have printed something on the actual papers themselves, but you can see like the papers themselves are also discolored. You can see a little bit more of a darker color kind of around the outer area of it. Nice looking, just kind of wish there was something on them. On the back, you can also see what's left behind of a fence, a chain link fence. These chain links, by the way, are the actual fencing, is a more of a softer plastic. They've rusted it up rather nicely too, just again what's left of it. And of course you got Wolverine perched on top of this, claws already drawn out, ready for of course any pending Sentinels to arrive his way. The claws themselves are softer plastic. While they are soft to at least be doing this, they're not soft enough that if you clip them, they may likely break, so you just want to be careful of those. But they're nicely painted, nicely in silver. And you can see as well, they're painted on both sides, silver. Of course they should be. They're symmetrical after all. Head sculpt-wise for Wolverine, I really like this one. I really like this one a lot. I feel perhaps there are some areas to the statue where some of the paint could have been used a little bit more, but I would never say that necessarily for the head sculpt. The head sculpt is one by far my favorite thing about the statue. There's a few little war wounds there on the top of his forehead. I do like also the way they've discolored his eyes. His eyes are so small, they're almost even hard to see. And yet they still manage to put a little bit of reflection on the pupils. You can see as well, again, like that little bit of pink that's airbrushed around the area of the eye does really help to bring a little tarnishing to Wolverine's otherwise clean face. Of course, like in the comics, he does have the stripes of gray there, just on the tops. Outrageously crazy looking hair, as Wolverine always has. And of course, the mutton chop sideburns there on the side. No real complaints necessarily for the head at all. When putting the statue down, though, I mean, one thing I did want to mention is when my camera is higher up. So when I put the statue down like this, it does sort of give you the illusion that Wolverine has his head looking down. It isn't really necessarily the case. If I was to put it, say, on a shelf, I'd be putting the shelf like this way. And the face is accurately straight forward. It's not looking down too much. I mean, when you also look at it from the side, you can see that it is still, yes, angled, but it still manages to look forward. So again, I just wanted to say that because in case you guys were seeing this in the review and thought the head was angled too far low, it's not really the case. It's just because I actually have the camera a little bit higher up. Where I do think that the head does deliver nicely on details, I sort of feel like it's under-delivering here with his costume. He does have his sort of bomber jacket that he has in the comics. This is nicely colored with the fur there on the top and a more off kind of beige kind of cream color, which he also does have here on the ends of his sleeves too. The brown is nicely handled here for the jacket, but there's no real contrast of colors being added. It feels like this sort of is the base coat, and then additional colors should have been added onto the statue afterwards, but those extra colors never got added. It looks sort of just matte to the finish. In fact, what's funny is that the jacket looks unfinished, or at least just having one coat of paint to it, and yet the inside of his shirt has all this nice additional contrasting colors airbrushed in there. You got the blue, but then you've also got a darker shade of the blue airbrushed in there. I wish some of the jacket could have gotten a little bit of that love. And then also with the pants something too. If you look at the back of the box, in fact, you know what, let's just bring the box in. I seem I was talking about the box after all. Let's just bring the box in here for a second so you guys can actually see what's going on here. If you look at the back of the box, see this all nice use of the darker brown that's added in there. The lighter areas where that wrinkle on the pants naturally, those are the areas that actually do stand out because they're the lighter brown. You don't get as much of that. You can also see as well how the jacket has a much darker wash to it than what we're actually getting right here. It's close. And also one thing I do want to say too is actually while we are looking at the box too, I think the head sculpts look much better on the actual physical statue than what it does on the back of the box. It looks okay on the back of the box, but I think the actual physical statue of Wolverine looks a lot better. Just moving that box out of the way. I don't normally bring boxes in for these reviews, but it was something I certainly did want to point out. Short of maybe missing the mark when it came to the extra paint given to maybe the pants and maybe given to the jacket, it's all in all just a nice looking statue. I'm just going to spin this around so you can see it from all the sides. It's got a little pouch there on the side, likely holding, I'm guessing, a knife or a gun. That looks like it's almost given a real leather look to it. Again, I like the look of this brown. I kind of wish that some of that could have made its way onto this jacket. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice looking statue overall. Again, the only thing I would probably have said though is while so much work and care put into the head sculpt and how well that was painted, I kind of wish again like some of that could also have been given to the jacket, and I think more so the pants. The pants kind of, if anything for me, feels like the thing that's left off the most when it came to actually painting the statue. Short of that though, I do actually like the real pose that they've put this guy in. This is one of those statues I feel also as well that looks really good from all the sides. On the side, you sort of see his feral rage here, but he also kind of works really well in this with him looking straight forward like this. Again, I do want to again stress that with my reviewing of this guy, I've actually got the camera a little bit higher up, so it does sort of give you the distorted illusion that guy's actually looking a little lower down, and you don't see as much of the details on his face. But in actual fact, if you guys were having this guy on a statue stand or a base, you'd be able to see his face a lot clearer. And again, one of the coolest looking head sculpts. I love the aged look of Wolverine. Again, like the colors work so well for his face. I just again wish that more of that would have also been given to pants and the jacket of Wolverine here. While Wolverine's pants and jacket may not have gotten as much love from the paint department as his face got, he's still a nice looking figure with a very elaborate looking display base. I like the way they've sculpted very small rocks and bricks and parts of chain link fences. I do also like the papers, although I do wish that the papers actually had something printed on them. News stories or missing papers of mutants that Wolverine's trying to track down, wanted posters, something along those lines. Because when you're looking at the papers, you really do feel like something should have been printed on them. And I don't know if the original idea was that Diamond Select was going to be printing something onto the papers, and at the last minute they decided not to. That's one thing I do wish that the figure or statue could have had a little bit more of. A little bit more on the detail end of things. But one thing, again, like the head sculpt does make up for, is all the work and all the paint that they put into the statue. It's more, it seems, in the head than it is for the rest of the body, but the head is delivering a very nice looking older Wolverine, complete with the gray on the sides of his hair. This is a statue that's also taking up smaller amount of space. So if you are one that's already running out of space, like this guy behind the camera, this is a good Wolverine to be picking up, not only for small space statues, but also if you're a big fan of the Uncanny X-Men Days of Future Past. This one turned out really, really nice. What do you guys think, though, of the Days of Future Past Wolverine? Is this a statue that you guys would be likely picking up for your own collection? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Once again, I think we're okay for Sentinels right now. Let me go ahead and again thank the folks over at Diamond Select that did provide this sample of the Days of Future Past Wolverine gallery statue. Now, in fact, we could have a look at in this review. If you enjoyed this review, by the way, FYI, you can hit it with a like button. If also as well that you haven't had the chance yet to do so, you can also turn on the subscribe button down below and hit that bell notification. Those two things will ensure that anything coming from the future... No Sentinels yet. Anything coming from the future, you guys will get those friendly notifications. There's going to be a lot more Diamond Select reviews coming your way. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.